diving into another episode of Shining the Light On. We're now live on YouTube. Welcome, Therese. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing pretty good this week. This topic is definitely irritating, and when I saw it, I was like, immediately I had to forward it to you. I was like, what the hell is this?
Thank you for sending it to me. I think this is such a great conversation. I want to make a reel on this, and like, I think there's let's just dive right in. Like, first of all, do you want to talk a little bit about what you found, and then we can dive into it?
All right. So I found it on Instagram. Someone had posted it. It's a Vice article, and I'm just going to put a disclaimer out there that I don't necessarily think Vice is some like great piece of journalism,
right?
But the topic that they brought up is really interesting. And the headline says, Eating Disorder Help Center fires staff, transitions to chatbot after unionization. So this is the National Eating Disorders Association, their hotline, and apparently their staff workers decided to unionize, and the NEDA's response to that was to fire them all and just put a chatbot in their place. So if you're a person calling in distress, needing to talk to someone about your disorder, instead of getting a human being, you'd get a chatbot named Tessa. And I just thought, my first thought when I saw it was gross. And my second thought was, can you imagine if they did something like this on another hotline, like a suicide hotline or something like that, how inappropriate that is as a response. And as I'm looking at it right now, so I went back to the article and I'm looking at it on Instagram, and someone's made a comment. So I don't know if it's verified or not, but they said, so apparently you can't chat with the bot anymore, but you are now guided to a main site selling access to Tessa and making unbelievable claims. So I don't know if that's true. That's a comment someone left. But if it is, that's even worse. That is even worse.
Gosh. I'm like tempted to go and check. Like, that's ridiculous. That is so
Let me see if I can.
Ridiculous. Help and support, screening tool, find treatment. Where do I start? Recovery and relapse, free and low cost support. How do I help? Well, yeah, like where's free and low cost support?
Well, listen to this. So the person who posted it, while you're looking at that, this person who posted the article I shared with you, they actually tried out the chatbot Tessa.
Yeah.
And they said they found that it isn't even remotely helpful or close to chatting with a real person, but just a scam to promote body positivity, which is the last thing someone needs to be bombarded with when they're reaching out for support.
Exactly. What a joke. And not surprised. Yeah. So when you are struggling with any kind of self-sabotage with food, you are so vulnerable with your body image. And to be told, right off the bat, you just need to learn to love yourself, like just have balance, have willpower, don't eat this food, have that food, eat more food, whatever. Like that to me is the most like disempowering thing someone could tell you, because when I was struggling with binge eating and food addiction before, this was the very beginning, before I just went on my own and figured it out myself, I mustered up some cash to go and see a therapist for an hour, and I poured my heart out to her, and the response to me was, well, just don't go to the store and buy the food and learn how to love yourself. So the lack of empathy from a human sucks, but like a chat bot is like tenfold worse.
Well, it's a chat bot, right? So immediately that you're it's like talking into the wind. There's nothing there that's having an emotional response to you.
Yeah.
And I know for my own healing journey, the thing that I needed the most, more than any diet plan or regimen, was acceptance and love for myself. I needed to have that in place.
Yeah.
And I grew up listening to and having a lot of people tell me, if you would just change, then you'd be great. Then you would be beautiful, or then you'd be able to have the life that you want.
Yeah.
So you're not okay as you are, was the message I predominantly got growing up, which meant that I had a really hard time allowing myself I couldn't give myself permission.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I worked with people who were pointing out to me my own self-limiting thoughts and the way that I was criticizing and judging myself so harshly that I could actually start to see it and realize that it's okay to be in the process of creating change in your life, and you can still love yourself and appreciate yourself. And
Totally.
having true empathy and understanding on the other side of a phone or a computer screen or in person literally was one of the key components of my own healing process.
Yeah, it emanates, right? And I think that when we take the human interaction out of something so vulnerable and delicate, where there's already so much shame and embarrassment and judgment and criticism and such a wide array of vulnerable emotions behind it, and we take all the human out of it and we lack empathy, and it's literally like a robot that, like, it's just no level of that is going to help you on your healing journey, right? No. And it's interesting, I just went to their Instagram because there was no information around, like, right? So it said, and this was May 30th, it came to our attention last night that the current version of Tessa chatbot running the body positivity program may have given information that was harmful and unrelated to the program. We are investigating this immediately and have taken down that program until further notice for a complete investigation. Okay. They've turned their comments off as well on that post. So yeah. Needless to say, their comments are off. They shut their comment section off. So I do feel like this whole thing definitely sparked a lot of outrage, and obviously they got a lot of comments and responses, and we know companies don't shut their comments off unless they're getting bombarded with being called out, right?
And I bet they thought they were doing something stunning and brave when they did this, right? Like this was people were really gonna love this. Or, I mean, I don't know. It makes you wonder, because we're learning a lot about what we're looking at right now is a business structure, ultimately, even though it's supposed to be for humanity, it's really a business structure. And we've literally heard talks from people, and the name is eluding me now, but I know that they were talking about BlackRock and Vanguard, which are major investment companies that own almost every other company. They have these, ESG scores that they put on businesses now. And it's like, you have to comply with these ideals. These are the ideals we want to push. These are the ideals we will back and invest in. And if you're not doing it, you will not receive investment. So you need to. And it's like, what it does is, and we're seeing this happen in so many different companies, right? But what it's doing is, it has nothing to do with humanity. It has nothing to do with the issue that or what you're selling. No, it literally has to do with an ideology. And we're at the point now where it's like, these are help lines. It's supposed to be a resource for a human being who is struggling and doesn't have the means, doesn't have a therapist, doesn't have a coach, doesn't have a counselor. This is supposed to be the thing that's there for you, and a human being on the other end who wants to help you. And it kind of makes me sick, because these human beings who decided to unionize, I don't know their reasoning behind that, why they felt they needed it, but these were people who were devoting their life to being there for other people struggling. They were the ones who were like, I'll show up, I'll be there, I'll be that, that grounding energy for you. And now they're they're gone. And what we're left with is something that's not even responsive to you and your needs. It's just spewing a program that they pre-designed. That's the program that's acceptable, and it has nothing to do with you or your needs at this time.
Yeah. And I mean, we can see this pattern across the board. Look at, how we're taught, oh yeah, you're struggling with food, go on a diet, go on a weight loss program. And it's spewing all kinds of BS information that makes things worse too, right? That's the thing, is there's this lack of connection. And obviously, I mean, we'll see what happens with this, but obviously there's some, things going on if they have to shut their comments off. And it's great to see so many people standing up where companies are getting to the point where they're shutting their comments off, although it'd be great if they didn't, because it's nice to read through and see what people are saying. Right. But the heat's being put on, which is great, because human beings deserve to be treated better than getting a robot service for something so vulnerable and so delicate, and something that's having such a significant impact on your life, your health, mentally, physically, emotionally, energetically. Right.
Yeah.
So,
and this is the weirdest part. So as I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about it from the spiritual perspective. And I keep thinking, you know what, this is, to me, the sign that there's a higher power behind this, even though what we're seeing is like, I'm replacing humans with a chatbot that's programmed to give you, to toe a line. That's all I'm doing. I feel like it's still part of the light, because it's bringing everything to the ahead. It's bringing everyone to a precipice. And even though it's like, this is so dark, this is so wrong, this is so heartless, literally without heart, because it's an AI machine that has no ability to feel or sense compassion, right?
No soul, no heart.
So what we're looking at looks really dark, but on the same token, it's that is propelling people to say, enough is enough. You know what, when do we draw the line? And people are starting to draw a line now. They're like, we get it, we get what you want, and most of us are rejecting it. Most of us feel like this is too far. And I feel like, the ideologies that get pushed on us, they take all nuance out of it. And they always start with these ideals that sound good. Like, remember when, I think we talked about this when we talked about the Dove commercial, right? And we were like, in the beginning of body positivity sounded like a good idea. It's like, wow, you should love your body. It's like, well, that's good messaging. But we know now that it didn't stop there, and it's gone so incredibly far. And now we're in a situation where people, whenever there's a void, it will get filled. So something will pop up and replace this. People will raise their hands and do something in response to this. So it's just a tiny void for now, but this has gone so far, it's not even close to being helpful or healthy or loving. It's literally devoid of love.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the pattern we're noticing across the board with all of these systems and structures that are getting exposed, that are swapping people for chat bots and things like that, right? It's just the majority of the population wants the human connection and sees that this is wrong. And so I think we really are starting to see the tide turning, and we're seeing these timelines jump. Right, we've had a couple timeline jumps the last couple of weeks, which is great, right? I swear that's what happened.
The one that recently happened.
Yeah.
Did you see the one that happened yesterday?
Yeah.
So yesterday, just for those listening, yesterday for us was June 6th. So it was the 6/6 portal. And if you look at the Schumann resonant, there's a huge blackout. And the Schumann resonance machines, they read the electromagnetic field of the earth. And then whenever there's a blackout where it's reading nothing, this is something that people have identified as a possible timeline jump. And there was a really big one yesterday. And because of the synchronicity with the date, anytime you have a date that matches like that, that's a portal that opens. And so we had a portal opening, timeline jumps, things are getting better. And the beautiful thing is, like, no matter how dark an agenda is being pushed, people are done being pushed. Now they're like, no, you can. In fact, the other day I was scrolling, I think on Instagram, and I saw just an image come up and it says, I don't consent. And they were talking about what we talk about. Like, personally, we're talking about, like, anytime you see something like this, like the chatbot, let's say, it's an opportunity for you to engage with it, make a decision about whether or not that's okay for you or not. And the beautiful thing is that you can do when you feel like, oh, that's horrible, and I want things to change, and I feel like I'm one person and I can't create a change. You actually can. It's a vibrational shift. You can create. And when you see something that you don't agree with, you can say, I don't consent, and it ripples and it changes the intent behind whatever this is. So it weakens it in some way, because the universe, we're all beings, everything that's working together, we're in a state of oneness always. And so in order for something to work as intended, we need agreement. And if part of us doesn't agree, it doesn't end up being what it was trying to be, if that makes sense.
It's a flop. Yeah. So I love that. I don't consent. We're jumping timelines, and we're seeing it with the way people are responding to these big foundations that are supposed to be supporting humanity, like being like, here's the half-ass way to do it. Right. So it's good.
Right.
And this is the karma. And this is what happens when you deny humanity of what humanity deserves. Right. So should we dive right into questions? Should we get some guidance from the universe, or is there anything else you want to share first?
Yeah, let's dive into some questions around it and see what we can come up with here.
So the first question is, will this chat bot continue to be front and center, or will they take it down? Now the Instagram said they had taken it down temporarily to investigate the body positivity stuff, but let's still see what it says, right? Because how do you know unless you were to get into contact with it, right?
All right, just waiting for the cards.
Yes.
Okay, there they go. What do we get here? Holy geez. I got a big conversation happening. Okay. The answer, it seems like this might be the end of the line for possibly NEDA. I mean, people are going to lose trust in it.
Yeah.
So we've got the death card reverse, we've got the justice card reverse, the hangman reverse, like all these like major arcana showing up. And all of these are like in the positive position. They would talk about learning and transformation and changing perspective, but all of them are stunted. Wow. All of this is stunted. It's like they didn't learn, they didn't grow, they didn't progress or transform. So it doesn't look like it moves forward, and it weakens itself. And then this failure card comes up. But on top of it all is this love card, which feels like the universe is like, this was meant to happen. This is part of the light. This has to go. It's not actually serving humanity. And as we move higher and higher into frequency, and we're moving higher all the time, it's coming to the planet, through the sun, into us. So as we all are, continually progressing upward, anything that's not a match to humanity goes bye-bye. Because in the age of Aquarius, the Aquarian age, Aquarius represents the humanitarian. It represents that bigger vision and seeing what's best for all. So if it's not working, it's not staying. So it seems like the thing that may happen with this is it's going to implode on itself, because it put profit over people, and it was an organization intended to support people with a very serious need, with a very serious issue that they're working to help better their lives. And it's not about that at all. It's literally propaganda now. And it's just one more way for them to introduce that to us. And it's not, people aren't going to trust this anymore. You do that, you not only do their employees not trust them anymore, but the people who would use it don't trust it anymore. And that's already happening now. So it's on its way out.
Yeah. And I think thank you for sharing that. I feel that too. And it makes sense. And it's just part of the dismantling of all that doesn't serve. And I think it's so important that if you've been relying on this, or you were, going to reach out to this, and now you feel you can't, like, what are other things that you can search for in your community, right? Are there groups that meet locally in your community? Is there someone you can talk to in your community, at your school, at your college, at your job, right? Is there someone you feel comfortable opening up to, even just one person, right? Because that human interaction is so powerful. And I promise you, you know, when you pick that person you feel comfortable with, that, you know, will hold space for you, you will be met with support, and, you know, you will not be judged, and you will not be right. So I really encourage you to take that step, because you'll be surprised with, you know, the response from someone when you, and you'll know who to pick. Right. So make sure you don't hold back on exploring what else is available, because you'd be surprised what you might be able to find even in your local community. Right. To
Right.
help you out.
I don't know if you have this in Canada. In the United States, we have Overeaters Anonymous, which sounds like it's just about overeating, but really it supports all eating disorders.
Yeah.
And that's a free resource, and you can find meetings to go to that would allow you to be in a group, in a room with other people, and you get to hear their experiences. And one of the most powerful things about that is it really gives you perspective, because when you're struggling with anything, your brain tends to go to the extreme. This is the worst it could possibly be, because it's the worst you feel, right? So you think, your brain goes, okay, this is the worst scenario. No one's ever had it this bad. And then you get in a room with other people having a similar experience with you, and get to hear their perspectives. And it helps you get kind of like clear on like, okay, I do really struggle here, but in other areas, I'm actually doing quite well. And that helps you get balance and confidence in yourself as well.
Totally. 100%. Yeah. And if you have the means to get support, and you've just been hesitant to reach out to anyone, like, I really encourage you to get support, right? From whoever you feel called to. Listen to podcasts, or choose online in your area if you are fine with not seeing someone in person, right? But obviously, if it's a very severe issue like anorexia or something, get help. Like, don't delay.
Absolutely.
And for any of you who are watching that are dealing with binge eating or food addiction or emotional eating, I'm happy to have a conversation with you, because I help them with this all the time, and it's a safe space, and you're met with love and support. So just know you're not alone, and that there is a lot available for you, even if you start listening to different podcasts, right? There's so many good free resources. But if it's severe,
including your podcast, the No Sugarcoating podcast, shout out to that. And fantastic
thank you.
Podcast. And you're at like, what, 300 something episodes, or
419 next week.
Wow. Oh, wow. So there's a lot of information there.
Yeah. Lots of information. You can heal. It's just, we've got to be patient and compassionate. So, okay. I love the first question and response. Totally resonates. So the question that I had was, how will the world heal from eating disorders through this ascension? Like, what is that process going to look like?
All right. Let's ask.
And it's 222 on the numbers here, which is always lovely.
All right. It's interesting, but it's this card. So this is an ace card. And usually when you've got aces, it's talking about the hand of God coming in. So the ace of discs is the physical plane, the hand of God coming in. In this position, what it's saying is you got to let go of what you think the plan is. You've got to go, let God is kind of how it works. That really does balance everything out, because the way that source energy works, the way this higher power works, it's very benevolent, very respectful of you and your power, because you are that power. It doesn't see itself as higher than you. It sees you as it. And so if your free will is, I got a plan, I'm going to do my plan, this is what I want, it has to be this way,
right?
Then God, source, the universe, whatever you want to call it, it's going to go, okay, I understand, go ahead. So in order for this to like heal, it's allowing that higher will to work through you, that this is the plan that I can think of, but I want the information from the bird's eye view. I want to see the bigger picture for my own life. And so it's really an individual choice as well, right? So we've got an individual standing here on this card. People are going to go through whatever is going to serve their soul at the highest level. And so for those who are ready to surrender maybe the diets, and open up to something that's more sustainable or long lasting, they will choose that path. For those, there are some people who need to learn about control issues. And this is a way that they're going to learn about control issues. So it won't be like a magic wand is waved over us and poof, all your problems are gone. It will be about, am I ready to let my higher will come through? And I would say my higher will and your higher will is the same as the highest will.
Yeah.
Right. So am I ready to let that come through, or am I still working through something here? Is there something I'm still trying to get or learn about this? And that's all subconscious information. It's never like how we approach it.
Right.
We think we're right. We do. We think we're right. We think I figured it out. I need this pill, or I need this, diet system, or whatever it is. For me, it was the exercise program. Got to have that exercise program. Right. And it really is about a surrendering of that plan. And we're so, I have so much empathy for that, because I struggle with that, but it's like the surrendering is what opens you up to something you're not seeing.
Yeah.
It's kind of going from a tunnel vision way of thinking to an expanded, oh my gosh, I see it all now.
Totally.
And that's going to be an individual choice.
Yes.
But you could have it right now. If you're like, that sounds good, you could have it now.
Yeah, totally. It is all about power of choice. Power of choice. Amazing. Any other questions we want to ask, or does that feel complete?
I feel like it's pretty complete. I know that maybe what I just said sounds like, well, it sounds like you still have to do the work. And it's like, yeah, you still have to do the work.
That's part of it. That's the thing we need to accept.
The things about ascension that we don't know is we just don't know what's going to happen. Like, are we going to fundamentally change? Are we going to be ourselves just more hyper aware? And I kind of get that that two things happen. There's a fundamental change because we are seeing, our eyes will be wide open and unveiled. So I think that we will come to these conclusions much faster than what we previously had. It won't be years of struggling. It'll be a time period where you're like, nope, still want to try my way. Okay, I tried it. I'm ready now. Now I'll go forward and allow. Yeah, totally.
I love that. So where can everyone find you if they want to come and check out all of your gifts?
Yeah, so if you go, there's a link that takes you to everything that I offer in this description. But you can also go to blythestarlight.com and check out what I'm doing there. You can visit me on Etsy at Blythe Starlight, see what new things I'm making. And of course, you can follow me on YouTube at Blythe Starlight and Instagram as well.
Yay. And go get some beautiful crystal jewelry from her. She makes amazing stuff. And all the other stuff.
Thank you.
And if you want support to food and body freedom, if you're struggling with binge eating, emotional eating, food addiction, and you really want to take a first step, all the details are below for the podcast, the free emotional eating quiz, and to book a 30-minute body freedom consultation if you want to connect with me and talk more about support. And as always, if you have a topic idea for shining the light on, or something you want to see us talk about, leave it in the comments below. Send us your feedback. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you want to learn more about. Otherwise, thank you so much for tuning in.
Yay, thank you. Bye.
Bye.